Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Skill Writers podcast episode. Model car culture, episode number 247. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's all right. Just chilling out right here. Sorry I'm a little late, but we're hitting you with this episode right here. So, man, last week, what happened last week? Last week was the drop of the Skill Writing featuring Bear Garcia and David Weiss. I mean, most of you guys know this tape, aka the Bear tape, and it's a trip, man. Because I mean, this was a tape that a lot of people had been waiting for. People that had watched this as a youth, you know, growing up. A lot of people had this tape at some point in time. They watched it, and then it went missing, and no one seemed to have this tape or anything like that. And after all these years, thank you and shout out to Gary Seeds making that happen, and also want to shout out the homie Javier for, sparking that interest, that fire right there of, fueling like we need to seek this tape. We need to find it. And just everybody, a lot of people played a role in this to make it happen. And shout outs to my homie Rudy Munoz as well, another person that helped me out, get it all digitized and everything too. So got it formatted, and I had scheduled it to drop. It was released last week on YouTube early morning. So, I was commuting around the time when the video dropped. I did some mention on Instagram, some days prior to it. And then finally that morning, I just started commuting, and, the video was live. So as I was commuting, I was doing something else, and then I realized, wait a minute, it's like 6:15, let me throw this on. So I end up tuning in. While the video was playing live, you were able to also participate in the live comments. So there was, viewers are watching this live, and they were just, talking with each other, chatting away on the little chat box that appears right on the video. So, saying what's up, and, shout outs to Casey. He was on there, Mr. Mini Dreams, also the homie Javier, Dave McGowan. And, I was seeing a lot of different people that they kept popping up on there. So that was pretty cool. They were tuning in to the video to watch, and I wonder for a lot of people how this must have been like to finally see this, hear the music, and just watch Bear, do his thing and speak. And it's a trip because, I mean, you see this footage and you see Bear in the video, and you realize how young he's like a kid, man. He's so young, and I was telling my homie Javier, we were joking, we're going, man, I don't know what was a bigger for, dropping that week, the JFK files that dropped or this tape, No, I'm joking. It was like in our model scene, I mean, for us, this was our thing right here, But it's just crazy. Like with Javier, we're going back and forth talking about the tape, and we're just kind of trying to figure out how did this come together, and Bear Garcia, we've had him on the show before on the podcast, an old episode, which I'll link on the description to this one. So if you guys want to check that out, you guys can check it out there, because Bear, I was telling my friend, I feel like in this time, this is before the launch of his big career in the car industry. And I feel like when he was young, young kid, he was already ahead of the game. Like his mind was already on another level, building, crafting, and making things function and work. And I feel like, him being in those first magazines of Laura Basico magazine, being featured in there, especially in the tech sections, and then just overall just showing the functionality of the trucks that he was doing, the bed dancing and the hoppers and everything. I feel like his introduction of being, you know, one of their first features, and also, and just like a, someone that has championed the art of model building and taking it to that next level with functionality, bringing more of the realism into it, right? For them, it was like, man, we gotta showcase Bear and see what we can do to take it to the next level. You got to think about that time. I mean, it's early 90s. Everything's still in print. It's magazines. So the next thing to do, which was groundbreaking during that time, was to release like a VHS. You know, this is before DVDs and before streaming, like how it is now, how things have evolved. So at the time, it was like VHS, tutorials, instruction, or like car show, all these little things. So, my friend Javier had pointed out, he was flipping through the magazines and he had found an article where it mentions Nathan Trujillo. He happens to be, one of the editors in there for the Loader Bicycle magazine, and that was pretty much like his project, his baby, with the along with his team, but he was pretty much the one, you could say like, approving, calling the shots, you know, for that time. There was other, there's other people in there, collectively, but he happened to be, the photographer, the one going out to their homes or at the shows, and he was everywhere. So in there in the article, it does mention that Nathan spoke with Bear, and to convince him to, hey, to show these skills, to everybody, to make this accessible, in the magazine. And I'm pretty sure, um, him being in the magazine, showcasing his skills, sharing information, is what pretty much opened up that door, for this opportunity for this video that happened to come to light in the future. So, as we were going back and forth, and you watch this video, at the very end there's credits, there's mentions of different people or companies that are that we're trying to, like, we're speculating, assuming, like, oh, I wonder if this is a person who did the voice over the instructions, or I wonder if this person was like an investor, or maybe they, you know, I don't know. We're trying to figure it out. At first we thought maybe they recorded it at their shop or something, but then we were like, no way, it seems like they were probably at their house during the filming of this. But right there and then, from watching just Bear speak, it's very passionate, very soft spoken, and just, pretty much laying it down how it is. And all this stuff's very relevant. It holds up. It holds up to now. You could show this to someone and someone could attempt to follow those steps. And I'm pretty sure if they have a passion and a love for model building, they will reach that goal right there. And even though it might seem a bit intimidating, or like, oh, how do I do this? You got to keep telling yourself, you're a skilled model builder. Like, it's all about steps, how to get to the next step, the next step. You got to start with the foundation and everything. So it is possible. So from the video, you see, Bear doing his thing, and there's also David Weiss that's in there, towards the end of the video, showing skills as well with the flocking, the bare metal foil. This is all things that a lot of kids wanted to do, getting their first insight in the magazine, like seeing like all the beautiful model cars that were being presented in there. And these cars, I mean, you only had access to them if you went to that show. And most of those shows were Southern California shows, until the magazine started to get picked up more, like became more popular, obviously more funding, that it paved the way of, Nathan Trujillo traveling across the US, hitting different spots to be able to photograph, more lowriders and get more features, more interviews, and just continuing on issue after issue after issue, which were all very iconic issues, that were featured in there. So it's still like a mystery for us. I know, I do want to get Bear Garcia back on for a future, like a recap episode. And there's a lot of questions I want to ask him regarding the video. So I think that would be pretty dope. I just need to figure out like how we're gonna do this because he's all the way in Dubai now. His career has taken him out to that region, and he's just, he's been there, and it's cool because he still has that Southern California flavor with what he does, and he's taking that with him, along with his artistry, everything, and he's been able to make a living off of it, and everything. So that's pretty cool, and thank you to Bear for making this, this tape. And I mean, we're in 2025, and I think for a lot of people that watch this, it takes them back, and it's still an inspirational tape, that sparked a lot of interest, and even a lot of the stuff they're using, the tools and the materials, those things still hold up to this day, which is kind of crazy. Like after all these years, a lot of those products are still being produced. Mm. You still see bare metal foil, Ken's Customs fuzzy fur, that's still being produced. Um, you know, um, those little motors like hopping hydros, all that stuff, it's still around. Pegasus wheels, all the OG stuff that you want to get that was released in the 90s, a lot of it is still available. It's still out there. And if they keep producing it and they keep coming out with it says a lot. So, I kept telling my homie Javier, like, all right, we found the ads to where this was publicized in Laura Brasico magazine or solicited, and it was about like 1995 the price for this VHS tape. So you had to pay that plus like shipping and handling, and if you lived in California, you had to pay the taxes on that, right? So you're probably looking at around maybe like $21 or 25, like around there, right? For a VHS at that time. And if you had the luck to hit up your local hobby store in California, they might have this tape on the shelf selling it, or behind the counter. When I had posted the clips, I had tagged David Anthony Garcia on the video, and he replied back to me on the DM, and he was telling me that he remembers that brought back memories, and he told me he remembers watching that video a lot at the Pegasus store because they used to sell it there. And I was like, oh man, that's pretty dope. Like just hearing someone just talk about it, mention it, it's pretty cool, to hear that right there, because it's like that's the closest thing to going back in a time machine to that time of something where I was not there present during the Pegasus era, the Whittier location and all that, and so it's a lot of those things right there, and just reading the comments from a lot of people that were commenting on the videos, like from what they remember watching, that's pretty dope. um and it just keeps adding on more and more and more. And the company, it was called Redline, and they were based out of, it just had a PO box that was based out of the Valley. So I'm like thinking, okay, this is like, I drive by the Valley, I commute around there, and I mean, there's no more information, company does not exist or anything. So I was telling my homie Javier, man, I was like, dude, you know what? I remember Lowrider Bicycle Magazine dropped like a VHS tape too. that was released. That was like the only one. I don't know if it was like a best of or like a volume one, but it was supposed to cover like just footage of lowrider bicycles, from the shows. And I've never watched the video on a VHS. I think there might be little snippets of it on YouTube, but I have seen it sold on eBay. And I'm very curious to know if the same company that produced that video released it is the same company that released this Bear tape. I wonder if it was through Redline. I'm very curious. Like, if anybody listening to this podcast, if you have that tape or know any info, hit me up. Or if you have photos of that VHS, the cover, especially the back cover, they'll probably show it there. Snap some photos and send them my way. I'm just very, very curious because here's my speculation. You know, I have a feeling that during that time, you know, this VHS tape from Lowrider Bicycle Magazine was gonna drop, and from outsourcing and finding a company that would produce it, handing them over all the footage and having them edited and put it all together and having it pressed up on VHS. I wonder if Lowrider Bicycle Magazine did that deal with Redline, they produced that, and then from there, you know, the it became like just talks, or maybe Redline was like, hey, like, what if we did, or what if, we're wanting to produce a scale lowriding VHS that hasn't been done, like a volume one. And I feel like Nathan Trujillo made that happen from, letting them know, well, we have Bear Garcia, um, you know, highly skilled scale model builder, and a lot of people are interested in hoppers, and at the same time to also add on to the detailing and skills that people don't know how to do bare metal foil. They probably don't know how to do flocking, and they want to learn those essential skills. Let's bring in David Weiss into this, you know, and let's make this happen. So that was kind of like my thing that I was thinking. Like, I wonder if, because they do credit, or like they give like thanks to Nathan Trujillo at the end of the credits. So I'm very curious, and this is all speculation. It might not have even gone down that way. Maybe Scale Writing dropped first, and then the Lower Bicycle Magazine dropped from a different company. But it's just kind of fun to kind of like fantasize about that. Like, oh, maybe this is how it went down. But it's all speculation. It's not mm, like cemented, like, yo, this is how it went down or whatever, right? So, um, with that, I started to think, all right, early early issues of you know the magazine, they, you know Bear Garcia, prom spotlight artist, and they did the video with him of volume one. And I started to tell my friend, what if, we don't know the outcome. We don't know if maybe this project cost so much money, and maybe those investors, that maybe it just didn't make enough money to produce a volume two, that, it was like, damn, we broke even, or maybe we took a loss. Who knows? We have to pay our investors back, or who knows? But it was just like, I don't really know the history of this company. I don't know when it ended, but it's not available no more. There's no info on it. It's done. And let's say if things would have gone great, right? Um, volume two, let's say volume two would have dropped. Who would have they brought in? And I started thinking, man, I wonder if by volume two in that era, they would have said like, all right, let's bring in like Armando Flores and DA, David Anthony Garcia. Let's bring them too. How big would have been in that time? A VHS tape, instructional VHS tape. That would have been crazy. Now we would be going into like 96, 97 era, you know? So 94, 95, Bear Garcia, David Weiss, now we're, volume two would have been another crazy like key tape right there. Armando Flores, David Anthony Garcia in their prime, going head to head in these, friendly rivalry competitions, you know, at model shows, people just curious, wanting to know how they're doing this stuff, how they're creating this magic behind the scenes. Bam. And at the same time being featured in the lowrider bicycle magazines too, on print, on paper, but to be able to see them on tape doing their thing at that time and having it documented and just like, you know, speaking, some interviews real quick and all that, that would have been crazy. So then we're going, man, what about a volume three? What would be what would have been like the next like? And then I was like, man, what if they brought like Gary Seeds with Jarvis Malone? Boom, volume three. That would have been crazy right there too. You know, another couple heavy hitters right there. You got Jarvis Malone with like in those interviews and features in the magazine where it's like he has like more than 100 models, like just something, and everything looks core to the realistic thing. All his models have a certain style. He has a signature style. You know, Gary Seeds with his like 63 Impala with that flaked roof, and a lot of very iconic cars. The Chevy panel with the flames, you know, that would have been crazy, like a volume three, and just having those volumes right there. And I mean, obviously there's more heads, but that would have been kind of like, you know, there was just so many artists in the roster that could have you know, been a part of this like a series. Let's say, scale lowriding volume one, volume two, volume three, and then have it all on VHS, and in the future re-release it as like an anniversary, um, box set on DVD with like a small little booklet showing you like some behind the scenes photographs of the artists, hanging out in their rooms, like things that were snapped from that time during the production of these tapes. Even the guys that were shooting it, filming it, like everything would have been pretty dope, you know, like a 10 or a 20th anniversary kind of release. That would have been crazy. And then, and then now, I mean, it would be nuts if you find that on like, if it would have made it to like Apple TV, or I don't know, um, HBO Max or something. That would be crazy. Where you have to like now you can stream it and all that. But this is all just the excitement of speaking about this. And if any of these artists are listening to this, I mean if I would have had the choice to pick you guys, I would be picking you guys right there. Boom, boom, boom. Like let's make these happen. You know, um, now it's tough nowadays. To try to invest money into like producing a VHS. A lot of people don't have VHS players. There's no market for that no more. The same with like DVDs. DVDs. At some point they were $20, $30 and more, and then eventually, a lot of this stuff just kind of lost interest. Everything's all just streaming, something fast, quick. And now you on eBay and you could find a lot of DVDs for cheap. They're practically giving them away now. Not a lot of people want to have them. I mean, some people, there's a scene for that. There's collectors and stuff. But in our scene, it's kind of tough. I mean, There are some DVDs that have been produced, instructional DVDs that are out there, and I think a lot of people that have the original ones keep them. This is that it's like it's something to just treasure and keep. Um, but now it's like, a lot of our information is like digitally, and it's not really tangible. you know Even right now, these recordings, this is all just like audio, digital. You download it on your phone. Later you could delete it or re-download it there. But how crazy would it be if like the podcast was like on a cassette tape, you know and let's say that these tapes were I was producing them, getting them pressed up, and I was releasing them like every month, like a 2 hour tape, like 60 minutes on each side. Like, that'd be crazy. And the only place you could find it is like at your hobby store, or if I had like I don't know, a mail order service or something like back then. That'd be nuts, and maybe there'd be some people that buy the tape and hear it in the background. But eventually, that that would probably end at some point. Um, but I'm saying this because, I know there's a lot of young listeners that listen to this podcast too. I'm 41, about to be 42, within a week, or this coming up weekend. And, I know like there's a lot of modelers that are in my age bracket. You know, I'm from 1983, so I know there's a lot of from 80s going up there around my age bracket. And there's also, a lot others that are in an older age bracket that are still, passionate and still building. But there's also a younger youth that I would say that are like in their 20s, and even maybe, I don't know, maybe I don't want to say like, oh, there's 50. Nah, I would say it's more because, just from analytics, you could kind of see that, early 20s to like early 30s. And I feel like you guys didn't really get to experience too much of that unless you had it in your house. But in the daily, to kind of be that's your world, like where everybody has a VCR, a cassette player, things like that. Um, it's interesting to kind of be able to like wrap your brain around, man. That was a thing back then, and now it's not. Now this is the thing, and you gotta adapt with what's going on to share this information. So I don't know, it's just exciting. If you guys have not seen the video, it will also be linked in the description of this podcast. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, it'll be there, so that way you can watch and just check it out. Even if it's for a little bit or whatever. The music is definitely very 90s. Um, the way it's shot, the way it looks, everything is very, very 90s. It's a nice time capsule to an era, that a lot of people, grew up on. But also keep in mind as you watch this is that this tape was a very groundbreaking tape. This inspired a lot of people. This laid down the groundwork for a lot of people in the scene, you know, and it definitely enhanced and helped people take it to the next step, the next level, and to just continue being uh, a seeker of information, you know. So shout outs to all you guys right there. Another thing too, I wanted to let you guys know, Armando Flores recently had hit me up with some video clips. Armando Flores has an extensive archive of tapes from the shows that he would like attend and film, shows that he participated in, and he has a lot of this footage that he recorded, and it's some 90s stuff, some Armando Flores archives right there. And he sent me clips, and he wants me to share them. I'm gonna share them on my YouTube channel. So when the time's right, I'm gonna edit these, like piece them together, and I'm gonna try to get a little bit more info from Armando, put these together and release them. And these are, gonna be Armando Flores archives. I don't know if that's gonna be the name I'm gonna give it, but I want to let you guys know first that when you guys see this footage, this is from Armando Flores. And I mean, it will be labeled on the titles and the descriptions, things like that. But just know that this is going to be some very special footage, some exclusive footage that's coming from him, that he wants to support us by letting us share this exclusive content right here on our YouTube channel. So we're going to go ahead and get that going soon and put that out for you guys to see. And just from seeing it, I mean, dang, there's some really interesting models, things that people were doing back at that time, you know, and this is, you gotta kind of set your mind up to know this is 90s, this is a different era. This is all based off of word of mouth and what they're seeing at the shows, and just being inspired by 101 scale cars, the lowrider magazines, all these different things, different inspirations that made, these builds come to life. Really a lot of raw, like, building with their models, raw artwork, you know, a lot of cool things that you're going to see on this. And it definitely holds up. I mean, if these models were still available to see, oh my God, it would be amazing to see these. I wonder if a lot of these cars are just like, they're either destroyed by now, or they're in a basement or in an attic. They're somewhere. I really wonder where these are at. They have to be in someone's collection still, or, maybe just a door or like a window or something. I wonder, but um, do expect that pretty soon. Man, let me sip a little bit of my tea. Mm. Yeah, I'm drinking some black tea. I've been switching it up. I'm probably going almost a month. I can't say a month. Maybe a couple weeks of like not drinking coffee. Like I've been drinking green tea in the morning, and then black tea at night, and it's been cool. You know, I'll drink coffee later. Like I think at a later time I'll get back into it. I just haven't. I haven't just by choice though. I just haven't been really. I've been enjoying more the teas right now, and but later I'll get back on that. But if you guys have any recommendations in tea, I mean, ginger tea's cool too. But anything else, like, keep me posted. Let me know what you guys drink out there. So, man, this week, uh, no, last week, sorry, we got a pretty cool drop of things that came out, and one of the things I was hyped about was the new Model Cars magazine issue number 226. That dropped right there. I was like, oh dang, when I saw the solicitations being posted about coming soon, I was like, oh dope, because it had been a while since they had put anything out. And from seeing their Instagram, it seemed like, I think something might have happened with one of the team members, that was like more on a personal matter, that everything was on halt, and until till future notice. So I wasn't seeing much going on, and then you start to see the magazine being produced, and the issues showed up, got them, posted them on the site. And Wes Salazar, his truck, shout outs to him, his truck is on the cover along with some other cars that are in there. And man, beautiful. It's just a nice layout of the book, and people have been picking it up. I do plan on flipping through some pages to kind of show you guys what's in this issue. Do expect that, but on YouTube, I'll be posting this up on YouTube. Um, I might do it on Instagram. We'll see. I mean, maybe I'll go live with it or something. But I gotta wait and see. But yeah, that's one of the things that I definitely want to showcase to you guys. So that new issue, if you're looking for that issue, we do have it on the site. I think we only got like 5 copies left because as soon as I had posted that we had gotten those, we had a lot of them that were selling. A lot of people were like buying them. And last week's drop was pretty cool because we got some items that I was like, oh wow, these are like some very sought after items right now because we sold out of them. And don't worry, if some of these items you're looking from, we are gonna get a restock. So Display has a sponge polishing set. The polishing set works great for polishing your model with compounds. Once it's all clear coated and sanded down, and you want to bring back that shine, they came out with the polishing set, and we got those in, and they sold out. We're expecting more copies to arrive sometime next week, and then the one I was like, whoa, I was kind of shocked how fast it sold out was the ceramic compound by Hasegawa. And this is also like another type of polishing compound that, they've been producing this for a minute, but I had never got it into the store. The homie Ryan, seen No Evil Builds, hit me up, was like, yo, are you getting this? I'm looking for this. And that sparked the interest right there. And I started searching for it, and I managed to get some copies of this stuff. So once we got it in, and that stuff sold out too. So a restock on the Hasegawa Toyota Celicas came in. Also, finally, the Honda CRX Pro by Tamiya. Those came in as well. The Hasegawa masking tape. This is like a 0.5 millimeter. This is like, like a tiny hair, or like a couple hairs or whatever. Like it's just so small tape. Like if you're into cutting tape and doing patterns, where this will come in handy is to lay out another pattern inside of the panel. So if you do like tape outlines, like in an exterior, and then inside you want to start doing some other very creative graphic lines, you can lay out this tape because it's a lot smaller and it will move around, and you could adjust it so this way you could do your little spray outs effects, and then you pull that off, and then you'll see the types of effects. So that one there is also, and then a nice good restock of our Tamiya lacquers, the LP series, which are the small little bottles. And with these, I mean, the essential colors, from black, flat white, rubber black, clear blue, clear yellow, gloss aluminum, gloss black. Those are all essential colors that we got in. Aoshima had dropped some new wheels that we had never received. We've never had them in the store. I had to enter these in the system. It's even the artwork is different. It's new package artwork on there. BBS, Work Equip, the Enki, AVS. All these are all new that are we're getting. We got some in. I think the other half's supposed to arrive tomorrow, as well as other Aoshima wheels too. So we've been going kind of hard on the wheels, and we've been having a really good response. I mean, right now the wheels are like $11.99 a set, so they've been on sale, and yeah, it's been really good. I mean, a lot of people have been buying the wheels, and especially we're excited to add these new ones. This is pretty dope to be adding these new ones here that just dropped. And then let me see. I'll give you guys kind of a heads up for next week. It's been consistent. Like every week, new things have been arriving. And it's all thanks to you guys, because You guys have been spreading the word, have been putting in orders, and this helps. This helps me be able to, like, you know, get the items that you guys are looking for, having them shipped to you, and then be able to purchase more items and invest more into more items. And you know, with the kits, I do my videos where I post like what arrived, what's available, and you'll notice that on the model kits, I don't get too many copies. I'm a little bit more conservative on the purchasing of copies now, and I'm going more heavier on the detail parts, the tools, and also the materials, and just anything that's gonna help enhance the model and the build. I'm trying to get stuff that other stores don't have. I'm trying to go back to that mindset of, like, what is it that's gonna help me with my shop to be able to grow as a business, but also provide a service to what you guys are looking for. Just like how Ryan hit me up, like, hey, I'm looking for this, and if I'm able to get it, I'll get it in. If I can't get it, I'll let you know, like, I'm sorry, but we can't get that. Little things like that help. And it just helps grow the store. I've always said, if you guys have any suggestions or anything you're looking for, let me know. I'll look into it. Um, those AK interactive markers too. I've been using them a lot in some detailing of that Laurel, the Fujimi, and I'm getting should be getting all the box sets by next week, all the ones they've released. So we're gonna be fully stocked with those, and I'm gonna continue getting them. I mean, they're super sick. There's also like a box set that has like all the colors, like every marker they've done. Um, that's something else I want to get into the store too, because that looks like a cool set that comes in a box, and you just open that thing up, you pick out the colors you want, and then boom. Because this is like a great product for detailing, interiors of the cars, or even the exteriors, like just little areas. It's a water-based paint, like, and it when it dries, it attaches, like it's there, and you could layer. Once it's dry, you could layer a different color over it, and it's not gonna bleed in. It actually like layers on top, so that's pretty neat. I was really impressed by that right there, and even just the tip of the marker, the way it lays down, and the coverage that it gives, it's pretty sick. So the AK interactive, those markers are pretty dope. Let me Here, I'm gonna try to step away from where I'm at right now, because it's like some noise in the background right here, and I'm just like worried you guys are gonna be hearing all that racket. But here, let me go into the next area over here. AK Interactive also has the color the pencils, and well, they're more like weathering pencils. And I saw a video of this guy. Um, he's like a Gundam artist builder, and he was using both together, and I just was like blown away how you could complement both things together. Right there. Oh yeah, we're also getting a couple issues of the Tamiya magazine, but this is an old issue. It's like issue number 325. It does have the Tamiya Mustang on the cover, so we're getting those in. Those will be available on the site. Um, just trying to see. I can't really see what year this dropped, but I know it's an older issue. So we're getting that in right there. So the AK Interactive Real Markers, those are all coming in. Some more Hasegawa tools, like a rivet gauge, rivet scriber. We're getting that in. Some other Hasegawa material as well. Um, a huge restock on more Aoshima wheels. Also 132 scale. A huge restock on that stuff too. Man, that stuff's been popular now. Like it's starting to pick up. More and more people are are picking those up, and it's kind of cool because the size is small, but it's kind of neat. Like if you customize one of those or just give it like a nice paint job and bring that one of those out to like a model event, it'd be kind of cool to like you could build a 124 scale and then build a 132 scale, maybe the like a theme, make a theme out of it and put those side to side. That would look pretty cool together. So we're getting that, and then we're also getting the Display Elusive Shadows, which is that electric sander, along with the sanding heads that come in different shapes for the sander. So we're getting that in as well. Um, oh, what else? There's also a company called Adler's Nest, and this company Adler's, they do rivets, so we're getting a restock on the rivets. We're also gonna be getting just some other like fittings from this company too. Um, Let me see. There's also one called Asuka. And then we're getting this Asuka miniature. They're like little uh, like a little shelf and even like bread, little accessories like that for like your diorama or for your car. There's also the this other company called Mini Art 124. They produce some modern like oil drums and plastic cans. So that's also another detail product that we're going to be getting into the store. So this way, for those that possibly don't have a 3D printer or no access to anything like that, but they want some items for their oil drum or a gas can for their vehicle, for diorama sets, they can get these and use those. But yeah, there's like just a nice assortment, and then Hasegawa, they're dropping a 124 scale Dawson Bluebird. This is the Moon Eyes edition. We're getting a copy of that, just one copy. That will be up on the site as well, so that should be pretty interesting right there. And then also we decided to pick up a couple of the Aoshima 124 scale snap the snap-on sets. And this is the G35. We got one in white, which is like brilliant white pearl, and the Nismo stealth gray. So we're getting those two into the site. So you know, stay tuned and check that out. And then I also wanted to share some info with you guys regarding like one of the programs that we have on the website. Uh, it's called Judge Me. So with Judge Me, if you make a purchase on our site, you know, after you receive your items, days later you will receive an email from us, asking for a review on the products that you purchased. So, you know, from doing a review, at the end you'll be rewarded with like a 10% off code, and you're able to use that in the store, and it qualifies, for pretty much all items except for I believe the digital gift cards. That's the only one thing that the app does not allow. But everything else, I mean, you could use it for. And then um, there's also like a referral program. So like if your friend's asking you like, hey, I'm looking for some stuff, do you know anywhere? And you do a referral, you could refer the also 10% off to them, enable in order to use. And then also for you doing referrals, you can get, let's say the friend checks out and everything, you can also get like 20% off, you know, and all this stuff's generated automatically through the app, so it's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, thank you guys for the support, letting friends know, letting people know, because scale riders, it's run and operated independently. You know, for those that listen to this and, might not know too much info, but the store that I run and operate, it's pretty much just owned by one person and happens to be a scale model builder as well. So that right there, um, every order that comes in and we package and we ship out, you know, it's we're very thankful for that right there because you guys help us keep moving forward. Help us like get new stuff in, and we're gonna continue to try to keep getting new stuff in to make it exciting, and easier too for building. So if you've purchased, you'll be able to, you know, get those emails right there. And I mean, man, this month's already done. We're already going into April. Within a week, I'll be another year older, and next we'll be 1 month away from SoCal Open in Chatsworth, right there. So that should be a very interesting show. You will see me posting more about it on our Instagram page. I'm gonna do whatever I can in my power to try to promote it as much as I can, to let people know. And if you guys can also help out, like to spread word about the show, that would be really really cool. Um, but yeah, I think that wraps up for this episode right here. I hope you guys are doing good. Please take care and don't stop building. All right, guys, peace.